Welcome back to Inside the Paddock, episode number 7. We got the Monaco Grand Prix this weekend, the most famous race on the calendar. Starting tomorrow on Friday, practice, qualifying should be really interesting. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Inside the Paddock. This is episode 7. We have got the Monaco Grand Prix this weekend. Quick words about Monaco. I believe it is one of the oldest tracks on the calendar, definitely one of the most famous. Ken, do you want to take us through the layout of this circuit?
Yeah, so it's set in the Principality of Monaco, obviously, as the name suggests. But, right, so it's built into the streets of Monaco. It's one of the most prestigious, as you mentioned, like Charlie, one of the most prestigious circuits on the calendar, one of the most narrow as well. If you've ever driven it, I don't know, in real life or on an F1 game, it's super, super challenging, just trying to stay out of the walls and stuff like that. And because of the fact that there aren't really, like long straights anything like that, and everything is kind of like slow speed corners and everything like that. Aerodynamic downforce is a premium on this track. Engine power isn't really as much of a factor as it is on other tracks. So again, just having the right setup, having the right tires on, and having them in the proper conditions at the right times will be absolutely critical. And just building off of the fact that it's so narrow, the races in the past few years haven't really been the most interesting, shall we say, except for maybe last year when it got super wet. But the qualifying every year in Monaco is usually one of the best sites, in my opinion, of the whole F1 season. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Saturday's a big day. It doesn't really determine how the race is going to be, but as you mentioned, Kenji, there isn't really that much room for overtaking. Like we saw Leclerc had pole last year. He obviously had there was that drama between him crashing and then no other driver could get another chance to get pole. I know Max was very upset about that last year. But it definitely leaves a lot of room for excitement in that regard. I'd say Monaco's one of the more interesting qualifying, so I'm more excited for that. But yeah, with that comes the opportunity for maybe a different podium depending on how drivers do. Last year we had Perez in P1, we had Carlos Sainz in P2, and Verstappen in P3. So I'm excited to see how qualifying can shake up the race. And then just another fact I just saw is that Lando Norris, our boy, has the fastest lap at Monaco. I don't know how that happened, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's probably because last year was wet, so like they couldn't go faster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think even in general, it's a race where kind of anyone could get the fastest lap. I think it wasn't like a fluke deal that Norris got it. But yeah, qualifying should be interesting. I just hope that, with all the street circuits and like we saw last year, how I think it was actually Perez that crashed out in qualifying, right?
Yeah,
not Leclerc.
I think so.
And then, so.
Didn't Leclerc crash out one race? Was it not last year or was it the year before that?
Yeah, I think he might have crashed last year, and that's why his gearbox failed or whatever.
Yeah, I think
that's why he didn't even start.
I think
2021,
that was
right?
2021.
That was 2021. Okay.
Yeah, because that was when Hamilton kept screwing up. Remember? That was funny, but
yeah, okay.
Yeah, track position here in Monaco. It's hard to just stress how important it is. I remember a few years ago, I think it was Ricardo when he was at Red Bull. He had engine problems, and I think Hamilton was trying to pass him the whole race, but he didn't. And then I think the next year, Verstappen was trying to attack Hamilton, and Hamilton was like, "Oh, my tires are gone, like he usually is." And took 50 laps, and he still didn't get past him. So, yeah, it's just it's hard to overstate how important like having track position is here at Monaco, and I think that adds to like the unpredictability of Monaco.
Yeah, I think we're definitely looking forward to qualifying. I just hope that we will get in like an entire Q3 session. It's obviously like it is easy to crash when you're pushing it to the limit here, and it's also, I mean, there's been obviously like the conspiracies over the years with like, I think Schumacher and Rosberg have different things where they may or may not have crashed intentionally. So obviously you kind of hope that there's a clean Q3 battle for pole, but whether or not there is, it'll still be an interesting qualifying session. Last year was the first time I had watched this race in full, and it was actually a pretty entertaining race. We had the like Sainz and Perez were pretty close, and then obviously the Ferrari horrible strategy blunder, which was pretty entertaining. And then is there any chance of weather this weekend, Kenji?
Yeah, I think there's like when I checked the weather earlier this afternoon, there was like a 80% chance of rain on Sunday or something. But Friday and Saturday, I think should stay dry. That's what I saw. But you never really know because last year, like they didn't even say it was going to rain in Monaco, and then Sunday it was just like pouring rain, and there was like red flag stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess being on the coast and stuff provides some unpredictability.
Yeah, and it's pretty mountainous there too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think a dry Saturday and a wet Sunday might be the best combo that we could get. Maybe, I don't know. Most interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty like it makes it unpredictable too because like the teams have to set up for a wet race, and obviously they have the park permit rules. I think where everything has to stay consistent through Saturday and Sunday, like setup wise. So they'll be planning for one thing, but that might compromise them on Saturday. So we might have someone, I don't know, like set up better for Saturday and then get the track position and then hold it through Sunday. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how some teams do even in the rain. I know that kind of Lewis Hamilton is established as one of the best drivers in the rain. So if that does happen, then maybe we can get a pretty good race. And then on the same note as Mercedes, they finally are able to use their new side pod design that they were going to use for Imola before that got canceled. Do either of y'all have something to say about that or how you think that might affect their performance?
I don't know because it's kind of a weird race to like introduce upgrades because Monaco, when you set up the car, you basically just run full downforce. So if you're going to upgrade the car, it's going to be like upgrades would have the least impact of most or of all circuits on the F1 calendar. So to be honest, I'm kind of perplexed by why they decided to upgrade here and instead of like a track like Spain or something like that. With that being said, though, I think definitely it'll be able to bring them closer to Red Bull and help them in their fight for second to constructors, especially with how, I don't know, they've overperformed what they thought they would be able to through the first couple races. I think it sets them up well for the rest of the season, and especially now since they're bringing upgrades to the car.
Yeah, I doubt it'll have much effect on this race. I think it'll just come down to pure driver skill in qualifying, which is obviously what you want to see, and then the race. I mean, it'll probably be pretty predictable, but you never know. Like last year, there was a couple lead changes because of strategy, and I think Sainz lost his chance for the win because someone, I think it was like Latifi, was ignoring blue flags. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely the narrowness of the track with how wide the cars are now has made the race a lot less interesting than it once was, but it still has that kind of I'm blanking on the word I'm looking for. No, it's
Describe it.
No, it's
like
fine.
intrigue.
Yeah, intrigue and just kind of like it's like a spectacle, like to see these cars going around that city, that track. So it's still like very cool to see, especially for qualifying. What else do we got here? We got I guess to kind of go into the Mercedes, it looks like they're also trying to do the Red Bull thing, which we saw worked for Aston Martin, and you kind of wonder how long it'll be until almost all the teams are trying to make their own version of the Red Bull, or that at least the side pod design. So
I read something, I don't know where exactly, but I think it said that Mercedes like side pod design is like similar, but a bit different to Red Bull's, which is a bit weird. Have you guys like taken a look at like the pictures of Mercedes side pod yet, and like its relationship to Red Bull's?
Yeah, I've got it pulled up right now. I don't have it pulled up next to the Red Bull. It says that it's not as refined as Red Bull's, but they're definitely moving like in that direction and away from the no side pod.
Yeah, well, that makes sense given how Red Bull being dominant. You'd want to move in their direction, of course. Yeah.
yeah, I wonder how a team like Ferrari or Mercedes, it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of do it better than Aston Martin did it, because Aston Martin I don't think is going to make any significant changes to their design, and obviously they've had the hottest start, and I think they're still in P2, but I wonder how long they'll be able to hold that if Mercedes' upgrades are effective.
McLaren had a new livery too. Do any of y'all guys have any thoughts on that? Because we saw Red Bull had their kind of one-off like fan-made livery that we kind of all declared was not even close to up to par as their normal livery. But then we have McLaren with this like white and black colored livery. Personally, I like it a lot. Maybe probably not as much as the orange McLaren, because I just think that's kind of, I like the traditional like car design, but I think it's cool. We've seen McLaren; they had they had that one other like teal livery a couple years ago or last year. I think they did that in Monaco too, so that's pretty cool to see. But what are you guys' thoughts on it?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Charlie.
No, you can go. I wasn't.
I was just gonna say, yeah, McLaren. I don't know. Their liveries in Monaco, they're always good, and I think this year's livery is no exception. I really like the teal one from back 2021, I think it was. I remember properly. But yeah, the white, papaya, black on this one, I think it's so good. I like it. I don't have anything to say about it aside from that.
Yeah, definitely better than whatever Red Bull was cooking up last race. I like it. I don't think I would choose to like replace this for their livery the rest of the season, but for like 2 races, I think it's pretty cool. The driver like overalls or whatever you call them, yeah, overalls look really good too. And then obviously last time they did the one-off livery, Lando got on the podium in Monaco, so obviously it's going to happen again. Unfortunately, the Imola streak was broken after it got canceled, but the McLaren persecution, man, it's getting rough out here. I mean, you sent me that meme about how they were just blowing everyone out of the water with the where it looks like they're ahead, but they're actually about to get lapped or something. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I was playing like the F1 game just for fun. I set like AI difficulty to 0, and I like lapped. In the McLaren, I lapped the Red Bull like 7 times or something. It's funny.
Yeah, next year. Got that new
that new
wind tunnel coming in.
But speaking of Lando, he's done well in Monaco here, or in Monaco in previous years, right? Like he took the podium last year, like you said. I think the year before that he was like 6th or something, right?
Yeah,
Or
last year he was 6th. The year before he got on the podium.
I'm sorry, yeah. But yeah, he does well in Monaco, it seems like. So I'm not going to get to the predictions yet, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think they could have a pretty good car this weekend. You know, they obviously their straight line speed isn't very good, but that won't really have a big issue. I think we know Lando can hook up a qualifying lap most of the time, so I think he'll be in Q3. He'll be in the points, and we'll probably finish in the points.
But if it rains on Sunday, like you just have to think back to Russia.
Okay, no, shut up.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm excited to see how he does. McLaren, I don't know, because they've been so inconsistent this year. Like, I don't know what to think about them. So I think it's just kind of like a wait and see kind of deal.
Yeah. What else? We got some interesting news for the next engine regulation shift. If y'all want to talk about that, Tim, you got that?
So we have Aston Martin. They are currently running with the Mercedes engine. But in 2026, they're going to switch over to the Honda engine, which and Honda was the engine supplier for AlphaTauri and Red Bull up until, I believe, 2021 when they left the sport. So it'll sort of just be Honda coming back, but with a new team. I mean, obviously, there are still a few years until then, so we got to see how Aston Martin does with the Mercedes for a couple more. But I'm excited to see Honda back in the sport. You know, they were able to carry Red Bull the year that, they didn't win the Constructors' Championship. They were able to give Max a good enough engine to challenge the Mercedes and eventually win the title. But what are your thoughts on it, Kenji? I know you're a big Red Bull fan, and Red Bull had Honda or Red Bull was the latest team to have Honda along with AlphaTauri.
It's frustrating, to be honest, because with Honda, it seems like every time they build like a great car, they just leave the sport. You know, like in 2008, they had, was it 2008? 2007 maybe. They had like their works team, and then they sold it off to Braun, and obviously like Braun, they won the championship next year. And then, you know, Braun got bought by Mercedes and all of that stuff. So, and now, you know, with Red Bull, you know, they won the championship in 21, and then they're like, oh, we need to focus on electric car development or whatever. And they're like, oh, we're going to leave the sport now. And then they're like, actually, we're coming back, guys. Yeah, it's like frustrating. And I know with Red Bull, they haven't really left the sport. Like, there's still a lot of Honda staff, Honda resources being funneled into Red Bull. But for me, as a big fan of Honda, it's just frustrating to see, you know, it doesn't seem like they have a lot of conviction once they build a great car, you know. So I hope that with Aston Martin, they have a bit more like conviction, and once they build a great package, if they actually do, of course, they stay in the sport for longer than they have in the past. But the problem is with Honda, you never really know, because then you might get a McLaren Honda again. It's like you're just like trash. But we'll have to see, I guess. But I'm excited to see Honda back. And
yeah, I
just hope they stay for longer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's either happening or it's likely that McLaren are also going to go partner with Honda that year. You might want to check me on that. I'm pretty sure that's.
I heard that rumor too. Yeah, I heard that rumor.
Either way, Honda being back, are they going to retake over Red Bull, or are Red Bull going to split from them that year? Like, officially.
Aren't they, like, doing Porsche, whatever?
Or no, they're doing Ford, right? They're doing Ford.
I
thought Red Bull
remember.
was going with Ford. I don't know. There's all this stuff happening.
Let me check.
I'm definitely looking forward to all these new teams trying to enter these new brands. I think I would love to have more than 10 teams just for more interest. And especially if there's no like bad teams. Like I think like the last time they had more than 10 teams, there was like Manor Racing and like Caterham, or I don't even know, like that were just complete back markers. But I think if like Porsche and or Audi or whoever wants to come in, then they could actually like not be trash.
Yeah, so I've got an
Yeah,
article
you're right,
pulled up.
Charlie.
So I
It
got
is Red Bull Ford. Sorry,
no, you're
let
good.
me shut up here.
No, you're good. So I've got an article pulled up. Guess more on the Aston Martin Honda thing. So you mentioned, Kenji, that Red Bull, they still have ties with Honda, but that like contract or whatever that is it says it's going to go up until the end of 2025. But that Honda wanted to come back into the sport because in 2026, F1 has these new engine regulations that they're trying to like, or F1's going to try to do just completely sustainable fuels, and they want to use more electrical power, which I think you also mentioned, Kenji. But so yeah, I think when Aston Martin finally gets the Honda engine, then Red Bull's support from them will be pretty much cut off. Which I don't know how that'll affect Red Bull, or if it'll even affect Red Bull, because I'm sure by then they kind of would have just been like dwindling down how much support they've gotten from Honda. But yeah, as Charlie said, I'm excited to just see all these new like teams or like brands and suppliers coming in, because it can shake things up in the championship in the coming years, and maybe someone can challenge Red Bull by 2026.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I definitely want that one team that wanted to have like one girl and one dude to get in the sport. I think that'd be really great for inclusivity. I feel like with the success of F1 Academy, we really need more female reps. Sorry. No. I thought that made me laugh, bro. I don't even know.
No, I heard Kenji laughing, and I'm like, oh no.
No, but I
Hmm.
don't even know what. I know Audi's coming, or Audi's buying Alfa Romeo, right? I don't know. I hope there's more than 10 teams though when it all sorts out, and whatever that inclusivity F1 team makes a return, perhaps, or a start. Maybe a rainbow car would be pretty sick. Just wild on this episode.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I don't know. So we don't like. Who cares about Monaco's? We're done talking about that. Who do we got? We got Ford is gonna be with Red Bull. We got Porsche is coming in, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Audi, I think they're
Audi's
looking into
definitely
it, too.
coming in, but I think Audi's buying Sauber, so that won't add a team. I've heard Honda's coming back. I've heard rumors of like Hyundai, which would be, I mean, I don't even know what to. Sure, I mean, if y'all want to come, that might be kind of. I mean, not, at this point, just let like Kia join in. I know like Cadillac. Didn't Cadillac put in a bid or something?
Everyone wants to get into F1 now. I don't even know.
I'm gonna get F1.
For real.
GHMV Lions Racing Team from F1 22 is coming in.
For real. Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, so with all that being said, I mean, we should get back to the Monaco Grand Prix. So we've made some new, I guess, tweaks to our like predictions format, because obviously the P1 and P2 for most races are going to be Verstappen or Perez in one, or vice versa. So we were thinking about kind of doing some new things as well. So kind of doing it in reverse. So giving 3 points if you get the P3 right, and then 2 if you get P2, and then 1 if you get P1. So that'll shake it up because P3 is normally the hardest to guess.
Are we doing top 5 too? You want to do top 5?
We can, yeah. We can do top 5 as well. And then another thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna predict the amount of finishers, because that can be a wide range. It can be anywhere from like 12 finishers in a race to 19.
Why?
Do it. I don't know. I think
I don't know.
I think Kenji mentioned it
That makes
last week, right?
Like the amount of people that cross
In Miami.
All right.
The 2 are classified finishers.
Okay.
So like in Miami, yeah, there's 20 because
Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
Never mind.
sure, if you want to do it. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. And then you got the. Are we gonna get a point for like the underdog finish?
The points finisher. Yeah, if they finish within the points, I guess.
All right.
But I think we should define like who the underdogs are, because you can't just be saying like, I think Leclerc is going to finish the points.
I would say like anyone like not
normally in the top like 12 or 13. So like Tsunoda's always in P10 or 11, and I picked him, but I don't think
Yeah, I mean, you
that's
can keep picking him. I think anyone down from like
maybe
if
anyone
you're not in the top 10 in the drivers championship,
yeah,
and then not Ocon, well, that's not really sneaky, I guess, but like Hulkenberg, Bottas, Piastri, sure, Joe, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Albon, Sargent, De Vries. No one's picking De Vries, but all right. Y'all want to? What should we start with here? We got. Do you want to do the number of finishers?
I think we can just kind of throw out some random numbers. I'm gonna go with 17. I don't think that we're gonna have too many DNFs. I mean, I hope we don't, but as long as no one makes any technical errors, I think everyone should be fine.
Yeah, I think like the wet race aspect might make that a bit unpredictable though. So I'm gonna go with 16, but yeah.
I'm gonna go with. I'll just go with like 19. I feel like if it's wet, and as long as no one does some stupid stuff, they're not gonna like try and do like, I don't know. The wet races are usually like they're driving slower, or they're being more cautious. So we'll see. Obviously, you got boys like Latifi crashing in the wall under safety car, but he's gone. So I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. That was ridiculous. All right, what else? We got the top 5. All right, let's think about this for a little bit. So my top 5, I'm going to go with first place. I'm going to give it to Mr. Max Verstappen. I think he'll kind of put the nail in the coffin. Well, not really, but kind of end the championship race right here, because I'm going to have Leclerc in second. He typically does very well in qualifying, but he's always been screwed by his car or his teammates, like his strategy teammates in this race. And then we'll go third. We'll go with Hamilton. I think the qualifying will be unpredictable. The race will be wet. So I'm going to give Perez fourth, even though he won here last year. I think he didn't qualify that high up. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna give Perez fourth. I don't think he'll. I think this is my race to have a mixed up podium, and then I'll shoot Alonso down in fifth. So that's my top 5. A little bit random, but I feel like this is the race to kind of go out on a limb.
Yeah, you know what? Mine are kind of random too, to be honest. So, with first, I'm going to go with Leclerc, because why not? I don't want it to just be same old prediction. So, and the reason why I'm picking Leclerc is because he typically does well at Monaco, especially in qualifying. And as long as Ferrari don't screw him up and stuff like that, I think he definitely has a good shot at the win. the Ferrari this year has been very strong in qualifying for him. And I think Red Bull's advantages, with their, massive power advantage, stuff like that, and their race pace, I think they're kind of negated by Monaco's characteristics. So I'm going with Leclerc P1. Second place, Verstappen. Not much has to be said on that end. Third, I'm going to go with Perez. Perez, he does well on street circuits. Monaco's another street circuit. He won last year. He took third in qualifying last year as well, and obviously improved to first. But I think picking him for the last spot on the podium is a good shot. And then for fourth, I'm going with Alonso. Just wise old head of Alonso should be able to do well in Monaco. For fifth, I think Sainz will round out the top five for me, just, for the same kind of things that I mentioned about Leclerc, Ferrari's pace in qualifying. And he didn't do particularly bad in Monaco last year. So I think he will round out my top five. So yeah, bit kind of random, but I think still based on reason a bit.
Yeah, mine are also completely, it's just different. I'm gonna have Perez in P1. I know that Max is, so dominant, but I think that, we saw Perez win last year. I know it was kind of it wasn't like a normal race, I guess, with the wet weather and everything. Perez P1. Y'all got me rethinking my picks. I'm gonna go with. I actually don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna go with what I originally had, which was Perez in P1. I had So I had Perez P1. I had Leclerc P2 for the same reasons that you have him P1, Kenji, and then you, Charlie, you had him P2. He's always done great at this track. It's just bad luck, especially, or I guess every year he's, I don't think he's scored points at this track, has he?
He got fourth last year.
Okay,
he
so
hasn't gotten on the podium.
He's never gotten a podium on that track, so that's what it is. And then I know it's going to be weird without Max on the podium, but we all slept on Alonso last week, and just because of that and him getting P3, I'm going to put him up in P3, and then I'll have Max in P4. I think this is kind of a race where anything can happen. Of course, I think Max is the best driver of the four, but I'm just going to kind of go out on a limb and throw something weird out there. So I'm going to go with Perez, Leclerc, Alonso, Max, and then in P5, I'm going to round it off with Sainz. I had him finishing P3 in Miami. He ended up in P4. I think he's going to put a really solid rest of the season together. So I'm going to throw him in P5.
All right. Underdog point finisher. Let me see. I'm going to go with... I might have done this dude last week. I'm going to go with Bottas. He's a veteran. Obviously, I think the last time he was here in a winning car, he had that 3-minute long pit stop. Anyways, he's done this track a bunch of times, whereas the rest of the guys at the back of the grid are younger or just not, or just kind of on his skill level. And we know how good he can be in qualifying from his time at Mercedes. So I'm going to shoot Bottas on this one.
In honor of McLaren's... Oh, my bad, Kenji. We had you muted. Were you saying something?
Oh, I was just going to say, with Bottas and Monaco a couple of years ago, I think his car ended up getting retired. But yeah, he was going to be my pick too. Tim, did you want to go before me? Because I know I cut you off there.
You can be Bottas too if you want. Just build.
No, it's okay. I don't want to like pick the same people, so I'm gonna go with
All right.
Hulkenberg. I don't know, because I think he's also kind of old. He's raced at Monaco before. I know he has the Haas, and the Haas is kind of like trash. But, just going off of like that chaotic race kind of thing, I think Haas could really benefit off of that. Kind of what they did in Australia a few races ago. So yeah, that's my pick since Bottas has already been taken.
All right. Anyway, I think in honor of McLaren's new livery, I'm going to go with Piastri. He's already scored points this season. I think one of y'all had him last week as y'all's sneaky point finisher, although he did not pull through. But I think we talked about how McLaren could pull through a pretty decent weekend because they're very subpar in the straights, but this is not exactly the track that you need the highest straight line speed on. So I think he could probably sneak in there in like a P9, P10 position. So I'll go with Piastri.
All right. Unless y'all got anything else. All right. That concludes episode 7 of Inside the Paddock. We will be back next week. I think we got a couple races in a row before the summer break. And then after summer break, we got I don't think there's a single 2-week break the entire time. So lots of races coming up. We got Spain after this, so we'll talk about Monaco. We will preview Spain. Hopefully it's a good one down in Monte-Carlo. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you.